Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 243 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Spark Podcast Network. Joshua joined alongside Nathan Derrick as per usual, talking all things soccer. So the Vancouver Whitecaps over the weekend, 0-0 draw in the Twin Cities against Minnesota United. Defensively, much better, but attacking-wise, pretty lackluster.
Yeah, to give you an idea of how lackluster this was, Whitecaps had 64% possession throughout the entirety of the game. They recorded an XG of 0.46. It was very, I don't want to call it toothless going forward, but that's kind of how it felt. Yes, they had chances. Yes, they had a number of shots, but they were very, very low opportunity shots. There was nothing where they were actually creating space within that final third to, give them a viable chance. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and it feels like both teams were struggling with the final third because when Minnesota tried to go on the counterattack, they kept screwing up.
Minnesota was no different. On the counterattack, I think they were marginally better than, say, the Whitecaps' kind of slow, methodical buildup. But this just seemed like two clubs still trying to shake off the rust a little bit from the break.
Yeah.
I believe this was the second game for both of these teams since the break, but it was, both of them had been on the road for that first match. So they were, coming into Minnesota. Minnesota's coming off an away trip. Whitecaps still at the very tail end of a very long away trip, if you want to count the break and everything that happened beforehand. These are two clubs that, shaking off the rust. And not only shaking off the rust, the Whitecaps, we'll get into it, dealing with some roster issues as well.
Yeah, no Bruno Caicedo, and obviously no Kenji Cabrera and no Emmanuel Sabbi. So the wings were really lacking. Czech Sabali played the game, but just didn't really do a whole lot. Brian White still isolated.
I was interested to see Sabali playing on the right. They keep switching him up. It's like they haven't really found what works for him yet.
Yeah, I think he hasn't really found his footing with his club yet.
Moments, but that's
Yeah, moments. Yeah, I remember he scored early in the season, but other than that, nothing too much to offer. Thomas Muller was dictating the play. I think he did have that one shot on calendar in the second half, but it was right at calendar, unfortunately.
Muller is one of those players where I find a lot of people kind of, because he's such an odd player sometimes to pinpoint and nail down exactly what his influence is, it can be difficult to figure it out. I thought he was actually quite influential in drawing players to him, opening up space, but where he was opening up space was deeper back. It was kind of in that transition line between halfway and the final third, with the expectation that his teammates will be able to carry on and do the rest, which they weren't. The Whitecaps were better in the second half when they did make some changes. They brought on Ryan Gauld. He took over the wing. Badwall dropped back to play alongside Kubas with Larraz coming out. Gauld, obviously, I think really helped frustrate Minnesota a little bit, but again, it's I saw an interesting point, and I think it was our friends of the show at the third sub who said both teams are defending like an underdog World Cup team, but both teams are attacking like an underdog World Cup team.
Yeah, that pretty much summed up.
No offense for both sides.
The game. Yeah. It looked very disjointed for both sides. The Whitecaps, only 2 attempts from Brian White, who looked very isolated, and
he did.
You could tell there was a lack of creativity. But final touch, final pass just wasn't there. At least it was a point and not a loss. But given the amount of possession, I will say, Whitecaps could have more.
One thing I will say that really shook up the Whitecaps very early is Rajko Veselinovic being forced off in the 11th minute. Went down, seen as he was walking off, holding that left knee again. Sarita Patel, club reporter, put out a statement yesterday saying that he has suffered a left knee injury. The extent and the recovery timeline isn't known yet. They're going to wait until they come back to Vancouver, do evaluation with a specialist in the coming days. So we might not know the extent of this until, maybe around the LAFC match on the weekend.
Yeah, or maybe before, maybe after.
Yeah.
It's such
but again, this is not great news, especially when you take a look at the injury timeline that Renko has been going under, and the fact that you've got other center backs, say like Ralph Priso, Bilal Halboumi, still working through their recoveries.
Yeah, it's that same left knee that Renko injured last year, which kept him out a long time. Hopefully, isn't as serious as it looked, but not really too much to say about the game in Minnesota. It was a game, one of the games of all time. But Whitecaps now focus to LAFC. Their first match since late April. And
99 days it'll be. 99 days between home matches in MLS, not counting Canadian Championship.
Yeah, which was at Swangard Stadium.
Yeah. Now, the nice thing is the fact that they've done this away trip is they've still managed to retain top spot in the Western Conference. They are there by way of goal difference, I believe, over LAFC. There's actually a three-way tie right now for top spot between the Whitecaps, LAFC, and the San Jose Earthquakes. The Whitecaps have played the fewest number of games out of all of those teams. So this game on the weekend against LAFC, very important for, control of the Western Conference right now.
Yeah, both have 33 points. Whitecaps are 21 on goal differential. LAFC are 60 plus 16. LAFC have 5 losses. Whitecaps have 3, and the LAFC came out flying out of the World Cup break. Last time out, they smashed Sporting Kansas City 4-0 at home, and before that they beat Real Salt Lake and beat LA Galaxy 3-0 in El Tráfico. They're like on a 4-game win streak.
Yep. On top of that, the other thing that's really helping out LAFC is Son Heung-min has found a scoring touch again.
Yeah. He didn't get a goal until the El Tráfico game after the World Cup break.
Yep. He had, I think he had 6 assists, 7 heading into the World Cup break. It wasn't like he wasn't doing anything, but he was being frustrated in front of the net. That's over now.
Yeah, Danny Bouanga's scoring as well. Obviously, Caps notorious Caps.
That's
killer.
A given.
Yeah, and both these teams, we're gonna try to go for that crown of the Western Conference, both in the Supporters' Shield race. Obviously, a rematch of last year's epic Western Conference semifinal game that went to penalties. Remember Son Heung-min tying the game late with that magnificent free kick. He looks poised to score a goal at BC Place on Saturday. And for the Whitecaps, it seems like they're getting a bit of help on the injury front. It's been reported by Asa Romano Global that Ralph Priso is going to be available for selection, and Emmanuel Sarri is possible, but Bruno Caicedo is out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing is, as soon as they get a player back, it's not like they're adding to their existing roster of healthy players. It's basically like they're just doing a switch, right? One player gets injured right as another one's coming back in that position. So they're not getting any edge or gaining any depth with this right now, which is the frustrating part. And then you kind of feel like you need to know, what is the truth, Fred? Why are certain players or certain positions always seem to be the ones on the injury list? Center backs and wingers. I don't know what it is this year, but that's where the concentration's been.
Yeah, it's just really brutal. This team's injury luck is someone comes back, then someone gets injured.
Yeah. And the whole thing with center backs, you can go back to last year. I mean, that's the whole reason why Ralph Priso became a center back last August, was for cover with all the injuries that were back there.
Yeah, but the Whitecaps obviously got to try to figure a way to stop this LAFC attack of Bouanga and Son and try to score some goals. get the attack going. It's funny that they struggled to defend against Cincinnati, but managed to score, and then struggled to score and managed to defend well against Minnesota. Funny that.
Yeah.
So got to put 2 and 2 together against LAFC.
Well, the issue right now is consistency and getting back to the form that they had when they were on their epic home stint before the World Cup. One of those things that's throwing a wrench into that desire to find consistency, though, and obviously something that we can now officially talk about. It was made official yesterday. Sebastian Berhalter is now a Borough player. He has joined Middlesbrough FC as they will fight very high on the table in the English Championship as they try to do one better and not make the playoffs, but make one of the automatic promotion spots for the Premiership.
Yeah. So all the best to Sebastian Berhalter. It's crazy to watch him rise from a kind of like, we got this guy for pennies, cool, to a deaf player, to one of the most important on the team. If you haven't already, the goodbye video he put out via the Whitecaps socials where he was fighting back tears.
Yeah,
you could tell he loved it here. He loved being a Whitecap, but he deserved the move to Middlesbrough, and they will try to be one of the teams that gets promoted to the Premier League. I know West Ham is pretty much the favorite to win the championship.
Yeah,
they're going to go for that second place where he.
Remember that West Ham has lost a few key players.
Yeah.
In particular, Fernandez, who was their best midfield passer.
And Somerville, their best winger. To the Saudi Pro League of all places.
It is. I agree with you. It's an absolutely deserved move for Sebastian Berhalter. There's a lot of questions about this. Why did this not happen in the winter when you possibly could have gotten almost probably a double transfer fee for him? Well, obviously they were trying to work out and still sign him. That there was still the belief that they could re-sign him, or that he was holding off waiting. There was also a number of clubs that were looking at him. We know that there was interest from Norwich. We know there was interest from Derby. There was interest from a few others as well. There's the whole idea of like, well, why don't you hold on to him and, make for a cup run and see how far you can get in that and then let him go on a free. Do you keep a player based off a hypothetical, or do you actually get something that's tangible? Obviously, you get something that's tangible. So the fact that they got the NHL $2 million, the fact that they got $2 million US for a player that has 5 months left on his contract, you take it. Especially when he only cost you $50,000.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah. He Berhalter gave 4 years. 4 years. He's still at a point in his career where he is a young, experienced player. He has many, many years left in his career. If he was going to make the move, this is the point when he does it. I think he took the time to evaluate what was the best one for him. The Whitecaps got the best deal that they could for him at what was available, and it was done. I'm disappointed because he's such an integral piece to the Whitecaps and how they play. They really rely on Sebastian Berhalter. I think they rely on him more than they realized, and they're starting to realize exactly how much they did. But this is the move that had to happen, and it had to happen now.
Yeah. He leaves Vancouver with 20 goals and 25 assists in 167 games. A lot of memorable moments, including that second goal against Inter Miami in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So it is a reported fee, $2 million USD, but the Whitecaps will get a reported, according to Manuel Vaith, a transfer marked, 10% sell-on fee should he be sold from Middlesbrough. And it sucks to lose a player like this, especially one that has been on an MLS MVP pace. But this is a move that he truly deserved. Now it's up to the Whitecaps to find a replacement. We talked about a little bit about it last week. Axel Schuster revealed to Patrick Johnson of the Province that the club has plans to sign a young player and an experienced one. He didn't hint which positions, but the young player.
All he says, the young player is supposed to be sooner rather than later. Experienced player might be further down the transfer window.
Hopefully before League Cup, but he said it could possibly take longer. Schuster is talking to 2 or 3. Well, he's going to talk to the third one today, I believe. Potential targets. I wonder who could that be. It seems like the Whitecaps will not go for the 3DP model. Looks like they're going to add another U22 player. That would be the fourth, I believe. And this
I'm fine with that.
experienced player will probably come on a high TAM deal.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I don't think
I like the Whitecaps model of bringing in not necessarily like diamond in the rough, super young, like say 19-year-olds. I like the fact that they're looking though at U22, someone who is maybe 21 and is looking to really ignite their career. And we've seen it work with the Whitecaps a number of times. Berhalter just being one of them.
And Petrovite as well. So the Whitecaps have Ocampo, Cabrera, and Caicedo as the U22 guys they have right now. So it seems like the fourth guy is coming in a matter of days. Will that be a midfielder or somewhere else? We don't know. He did hint that.
I think one of them has to be
not a replacement for Berhalter in the short term, but in the long term. So likely is.
Yeah. Yeah, we know that Badwall will eventually grow into that position. Obviously, he plays there already when opportunity dictates. With all the injuries that are going on right now, we see Badwall, like I said, I mean, I think I said this at the very beginning of the season, is Badwall is kind of like what Berhalter was when Berhalter first came to the Whitecaps, where he basically just said, put me on the pitch. I'll play whatever you give me. We saw him playing on the wing. We saw him in midfield. We saw Berhalter playing a right back. The only thing we didn't see him is putting him on the keeper shirt. That's Badwall right now. Badwall is playing all over the pitch. We see him as a winger. We see him as a 10. We've seen him further down in a 6 where it's a 6 where it's more natural, like we did in the last 45 of just the game in Minnesota. He will nail down a position. Obviously, injuries are dictating where you're playing him right now, but they have a plan for him. It's just it's not like he's ready yet.
I think Badwall is starter material now, but he's not like, the big, we can rely on this guy like Berhalter was yet.
I would agree with you.
He's only 20, so yeah, definitely. Time.
He's kind of in that cusp of you want to give him starts. I don't know if he's the first name on the team sheet sort of guy yet, like how Berhalter would have been. But I do like the idea of bringing in someone in that position that has the experience. You can play him alongside Kubas, and you bring him in to work with Badwall for a year and a half, knowing he's the guy, de facto in that role going forward afterwards.
Yeah, and Berhalter didn't really become what he is today until he was 23, 24. And Badwall's only 20, so he's still a few years away.
He was with the club for a good 2 years before people really started to recognize his name.
Yeah, and Badwall, like Berhalter, is one to watch for his country. Badwall, potentially a guy for 2030, potentially a guy for the 2028 Copa America should Canada be invited.
How old is Badwall?
20.
Would he qualify? I know he's not with the U20. No, it's U20s. It's not, or the Olympics for the men. Is it U20 or U23s?
It's U23. Could possibly.
Could he possibly? I know Liam McKenzie is down with them right now. And then you're allowed, I think, 3 over.
Badwall did get called up for the Camp Poutine back in January.
Yeah, that's right. He's a guy I would like to see knocking on the door there, right?
Oh, I'm sure he will be knocking on the door pretty soon.
Well, coming 2020 or 2024, 2034, absolutely. What am I saying? 2030. 2030, absolutely. 2030, he's going to be a player that's very much in his prime.
Yeah, and he's still 20 years old, and this is a guy the Whitecaps are very high on and want to watch for the future. But in terms of short-term replacements for Berhalter, it feels like the Whitecaps do need a experienced player to be the replacement for Berhalter, given that their MLS Cup window is now open. We talked about names last week. We talked about Goretzka, talked about Eustachio. In my article, I put out Remo Freuler of Switzerland, most recently of Bologna, I believe. also as a free agent. You put out to me last week Patrick Berg of Bodo Glimt.
The reason why I say Patrick Berg is, well, first of all, Bodo Glimt in Norway is a team that consistently punches above its weight. They are perennial Champions League fighters, and they're usually a team that's moving through the knockout stages that do very, very well. Berg was invaluable to his Norwegian side throughout the World Cup. Very, very much the link-up man, the engine in the room, which is kind of what we're looking for in the first place. And on top of that, he's a player that MLS clubs have looked at before. There was a deal in place as early as just this last off season in the winter, but a player agreement done, transfer agreement couldn't be agreed on.
Which club was that?
It's gonna. I don't know. In my head, I'm thinking it's more like a Chicago or Columbus, but I'm not 100% sure. But there had been people knocking on his door from North America before. He's a player that I believe. Would he want to come
to North America?
Well, that's the question too. I guess you can say, "Hey, warmer weather." Right now, you're playing north of the Arctic Circle, so. He is a player.
Yeah, he was like with Chicago Fire last season.
There you go. He is a player that if you brought him in, he is a player for now. He slots in right away on the boots running. He's not going to be cheap, but I believe knowing what, obvious salaries are in the Norwegian league, I believe you can get him on a TAM deal.
Yeah. Patrick Berg is 28 years old, so right in his prime.
Yeah, that's who I like. Don't get me wrong; it's a little bit of a long shot, but it's not an unrealistic long shot. It's not an unrealistic long shot.
I put out Remo Freuler in my article because he's a 6'8" hybrid. With Bologna and Switzerland, he plays as a 6. Though in Bologna, he has played as an 8, very similar to Berhalter, but more, I wouldn't say better, but very sound defensively. He's not a shooter like Berhalter, but he is creative.
Yeah.
And Freuler and his teammates with Switzerland were here during the World Cup, and he played a big part in their run to the quarterfinals. Currently looking for a club. I haven't heard anything regarding Freuler, but MLS definitely is a possibility, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is one of the names Schuster is looking at.
Something like Freuler, I think, is more realistic, especially when you look at, and I'm just looking up right now with someone like Patrick Berg, Coventry. Those are the sort of West Ham. Those are the sort of teams looking at him right now.
I heard.
Yeah, so I think he's on the move, but yeah, the Whitecaps, I think, might, if they went in, they'd be an interesting conversation piece. I don't know if they'd be the one. Freuler, how old is Freuler though?
34.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that just...
That's the thing.
You need a guy that's like Berhalter. You need a guy that's box to box. At 34, are you running box to box for 90 minutes?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Berhalter, 8 minutes.
He will be a good...
8 minutes. And you need someone that can do that.
Obviously, between the two, we'd obviously prefer Berg, given that he's younger and he can actually play full 90.
Yeah.
But that's quite the long shot. Though, I've been reading that Steven Eustachio, like with Porto, it seems like they don't want him.
You know what? And that's something that I've been seeing as well. I had kind of written off that it wasn't going to happen, in that I felt going to LAFC kind of rejuvenated him. He got playing time. He was able to show what he can do again, coming back from injuries and whatnot. He had a solid World Cup. I figured this is a guy that's going to want to fight for his spot back with Porto. If Porto don't want him, I mean, that definitely opens up the possibility. It's also a Canadian international, which obviously, as a Canadian MLS team, is an attractive thing as well. Does Eustachio want to come back to MLS, this time on a more permanent fixture, or is Porto looking at another loan? If they do bring him, and it is a loan, I don't want it to be just until the end of the season. I don't like these 5-6 month deals. I want something that's going to be more stable going in the long term. The one thing that also makes this really, really weird is what's coming up at the end of the season and the switch to the international calendar. So if you're going to be bringing over someone like Eustachio, it's not like you can sign him really for a year. You got to be looking year and a half, 2.5, like something like that,
or a permanent deal.
Exactly, right? So I hope that's the look, that if they are looking for something a bit longer term, that it's not just to get you to November or early December.
It'd be a marquee signing for the Whitecaps, Canadian international, vice captain of Canada.
It would be a phenomenal signing. Can you imagine that midfield of Eustachio, Kubas, who I believe would complement each other very, very well?
They complement each other very well.
In front of them, Gold and Mueller. What experience do you have in that midfield? And I'm sorry, if that midfield can't get link up to Brian White, then there's something else that's really wrong.
Yeah, hopefully that's one of the names, but we don't know. But the only other club
I'm more sold on it now than I was last week
is Olympiacos in Greece, but they haven't made a bid yet. So other than the midfield, where else could the Whitecaps add? People have been saying maybe the Whitecaps need another attacker, particularly.
Well, they did just send back Izzy Jackson back to his club in Poland.
And he hasn't even shown up there yet, apparently.
Yeah. So, and then you've also got the possibility of, you've got injuries on the wings as well. We talked about Caicedo. Sabali has been in and out of injuries as well. So that's one thing that's also kind of contributed to his stop performances. Sabi could be coming back, but Sabi of this year is not Sabi of last year. Gold will be playing more on the wings as Mueller played centrally. We know that. A winger,
Kenji Cabrera is still out with his injury.
He's going to be out for a bit, yeah. A winger's not a bad look. Someone that can really bring in Brian White to link up with him as well as Gold does. It's not a bad look. I know a lot of people have also been talking about center back, but the thing is they have a lot of center backs. It's just the fact that, half of them are injured.
Yeah, also depend to see how long Ranko Veselinovic will be out. And I bet the club's having PTSD of signing Shonlon Pupe, who were injured during their time here.
Yeah. The fact that those contracts are off the books is good. Unfortunately, I wanted them to work out. They didn't. And that happens, when you're taking a hit on players coming from, overseas or elsewhere, or even in MLS, you don't know how they're going to fit within your squad. Pupe, just didn't work. Shanlo just couldn't get off the trainer's bed, right? He couldn't get out of the infirmary. So I do wonder if he even shows up anywhere else.
Yeah, for the wing, someone mentioned to me that about bringing Jaden Nelson back, which I am very open to. The club has hinted that when he left, a reunion is possible. And Nelson left because he needed minutes prior to the World Cup, and thanks to Marcelo Flores getting injured before the tournament, he made the World Cup squad. And given the lack of wingers right now, the lack of pace, I'd be open to it because Nelson, despite some of the decision-making, has that explosiveness that the Whitecaps lack.
Nelson has been playing with Austin, though. I mean, it's not like he's not getting
apparently
minutes.
He's been out of order as of late.
I don't know about that because I just don't know what the cost will be. I'm not against it, but I would really, really want to shop elsewhere first.
Yeah, I'd take a look at bringing Nelson back.
Because the thing is the Whitecaps got a really good deal for Nelson. I mean, they got almost like 1.2, 1.3 million in GAM spread out over 2 years and a first round draft pick. Like, if you're going to bring him back, I would say you're going to have to sacrifice that draft pick. And
you're going to send it back. Plus
at least half the GAM, which, yes, you could argue, hey, we came out ahead, but I don't know. It just, I'm not 100% sold on that one.
I'm open to that.
The other thing is, you and I both had criticisms of Jadon Nelson and how he played. He was it felt very one note in the fact that he would just always cut inside, always cut inside, always cut inside. There wasn't anything else to the game. And, you know, when we looked at someone like Bruno Caicedo, we at least saw attempts to try something else.
Yeah.
In 6 months, has Nelson changed? Have our criticisms been mitigated?
I don't know. Maybe it's nostalgia or the.
I don't know. I do wonder if for a lot of people that might just be recency bias, or the fact that, hey, this is a guy that's on the Canadian men's national team. That's got to be good.
Apparently it just hasn't been playing a lot with Austin lately.
He's got 10 games. I don't know how many of those were starts. He's got 2 goals within that.
And it seems like, according to Austin's interim head coach, he said on Nelson, we want guys who are locked in and ready to go. And Nelson was not in the right mindset to come on in their last game. Maybe Nelson's head is not in Austin. He's
got 0 assists, and in those 10 matches, he's only started 6.
Scored 1 goal.
I don't know. There could be another level to Jadon Nelson. He is young. He's 23 years old. He can definitely improve. But he's at a plateau right now, and he's got to figure out how to get that next jump. The Whitecaps tried. The Whitecaps have already tried with him. Do you go and take another chance to try again? It's not like you're bringing in a player that you know can do the job. With Nelson, you're looking for something more. You're looking for the player to grow. And you've already tried that with him. Maybe in a couple years down the road when he's already tried to prove himself. But the fact that this is just, 7-8 months? I don't know. I don't see that anything's changed.
Yeah. Other options to look at on the wings, and maybe another backup striker, as you know, maybe I hinted at possibly of loaning Ryan Alumi out for him to get more minutes and bringing in a more experienced backup striker. Obviously,
I like Ryan Alumi, but Ryan Alumi needs to have more strength on the ball.
Yeah,
I think he's a good player, but we never get to see it because he gets knocked off the ball way too easily.
Yeah. So obviously midfield is the priority for the Whitecaps. Attack, definitely. Center back, they're already loaded there, but so many injuries.
Yeah. Bilal Bouni, I don't even know what the timeline is for him. I mean,
nobody knows.
Renko, we'll have to wait and see, hopefully in the next few days. Like you said, Priso should be back soon. But with Priso, where are you playing him at this stage? Do you move him back up to the 6? I don't know what the answer to that is.
He's pretty much available for selection on Sunday.
Yeah.
But I think he's coming off the bench.
Oh, he's absolutely coming off the bench. You're not putting a guy in that barely has had any opportunity with match fitness to slot right in. I think if you get 30 minutes out of him, that's fantastic. But where do you put him? Right now, do you put him in to be one of those guys to hopefully solidify a chance beside Kubas? Or do, kind of needs dictate? And he's the center back that you need right now to fill an injury-depleted position.
Yeah. I am worried about that midfield against Boanga and Son and all the other LAFC guys. Get Schwanner.
Look, the midfield question is not going to be solved overnight. This is what you're going to go through some growing pains. This is not going to be winning tear that the Whitecaps had at the beginning of the season, when every game was at home and you pretty much, wrote the W before the 90 minutes were up. There's going to be a bit more of a battle now. I hope they figure it out sooner rather than later, but realistically, it's not going to be as easy because you've lost a key piece.
The Wings also lack a depth against LAFC. This is going to be a tough test as Mwanga and Son come to town, and Matthew Schweiner and Jacob Schaffelberg return to BC Place for the first time since they played in the World Cup. So Whitecaps LAFC at 4:30 this Sunday. And hopefully the Whitecaps, we get some transfer news over the next few days or weeks.
Here's hoping.
Fingers crossed. The other Vancouver team, the Vancouver Rise, played on the weekend at Swangard. Lost 1-0 to Halifax, the first ever loss to Halifax. At home, the team looked lackluster. They looked tired. Just things weren't clicking.
Yeah. Again, difficult thing. Again, a team going through their own injuries. We've seen recently a lot of players from the Rise coming from the academy and getting short-term contracts to come up. We saw that again with the Rise in this match.
Yep.
Not really a whole lot to talk about this. The goal ended up being an own goal off Di Filippo. Obviously, not much she could do. The ball just took a bounce off of her. And
just unfortunate goal.
Unfortunate goal. I had questions about some of the subs. One thing I found, the midfield of Quinn and Reyes, I think needs to have a bit of a retool. Quinn is still an absolute workhorse. They are strong on the ball, but don't necessarily have the pace they once did. They're relying more on that footballing intelligence that they obviously possess. But did come off in the 61st minute. Things did shore up a little bit when Nicky Stanton came in. Reyes is a good creator, but I almost feel like it's what we used to call Alphonso Davies syndrome, where Reyes tries to put the entire team on her back and do everything all by herself. And that's just not sustainable. It can't be done. One player who I thought did have a good game, and I was very surprised that she came off, I believe she came off around the hour mark, was Enes Ularbi. Winger.
Yep.
For the Rise, I thought was dangerous at times, was good at putting balls into the box, looking to try and make something happen. And obviously, things weren't happening. It just didn't really work out. But was a surprise when she came off. So it made me wonder, is this something that was planned? Is she injured? Is she just not at match fitness to go beyond the hour mark? But that was one question I had. And then obviously Timoth, who's come in this year as a defender. What a strong tackler. Like, she's an old school tackler. When she takes out that ball, she's taking out the player too, but it's clean. I think she's been fantastic to watch. I've really, really enjoyed seeing her. The only other observation I would make was Kennedy on the Tides seemed to have Okamoto's number. Okamoto was having a lot of difficulty in this match, and I think that was evidenced by the fact that she was subbed off at the half.
Yeah, that makes sense why.
You know what? Good on the Tides for getting their first win at Swangard. It's bound to happen sometime, but yeah. Rise still need to figure themselves out because they're sitting in 5th right now. There is a little bit of kind of mid-table congestion. Obviously, the Tides with this win leapfrogged over the Rise, but right now the Rise are on the outside looking in for the playoffs.
Yeah, they currently have 5 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw. Halifax has overtaken them. They're obviously above Calgary Wild, who still have yet to win a game. Crazy. And the Rise play on Wednesday for their Barker the Park game. So if you're going to that game, bring your dog.
I will be there
they
tonight.
play. Oh yeah, it's tonight. Sorry.
Yeah, it's tonight.
What am I saying?
Good piece of news. Well, we did talk a little bit last week with
Montreal,
Mariah Lee has now retired from football. She will be pursuing a degree in law, I believe, at NYU
in New York.
But
New York
the Rise have wasted no time in bringing in a replacement. They announced on Monday the signing of Canadian international forward Alex Lamontagne. If I butcher that name, I apologize. Alex has been playing most recently in France with AS Saint Etienne. Before that, she was playing with Rodez AF. Now coming into the Rise. So hopefully that is not necessarily a like-for-like switch, but someone that should fill in the boots. That is the void that Mariah Lee would have left. 29 years old, definitely at the prime of her career. So another Canadian international into the Rise, and that's always welcome news.
Yep, and that they wasted no time in bringing not really a like-for-like replacement, but bringing more depth for that forward.
The fact that Mariah Lee is not moving to another team and that she has retired, she also picked the kind of the date of her retirement. My guess is this has been in the works for a long time, and Stephanie Lave has been able to work on a replacement for a while. So my guess is that they probably went to Mariah and said, look, just give us time to bring in your replacement and then we'll get it done. The fact that this has been done within 2 days of one another makes me believe that Mariah knew that this was happening, talked with the team, worked with the team went out to find the replacement, and they've timed this. So credit to Lee, credit to the team to get this done relatively quickly. Now let's just hope it works out.
Yeah. Rise Montreal Roses tonight from Swangard Stadium.
Yes.
All right, back to MLS a bit. So Tom Bogert and Paul Tenrio reported on The Athletic that MLS owners expect to hear a presentation on significant changes to the structure of roster rules, centered around a more open salary cap system, which is a potentially huge change for the future of the league, but DPs would still remain.
Yeah, so they're trying to standardize the league on what they're calling MLS 3.0. What we might see is some of the mechanisms like GAM and TAM be eliminated. And that this whole idea of like actual transfers and the whole cash transfers that was brought in just recently kind of becomes the model, because that again matches up with the international model. The one thing that this does not mention, and for me is the biggest hindrance, is the fact that transfer fees are still a part of the salary cap. And that, I think, is one of the biggest things that hurts MLS, is the fact that it's not just the salary, it's the transfer fee that's also getting calculated into this as well. There's no mention of that, so I don't think that's going to be one of the conditions. But this is something that MLS wants to get wrapped up before the relaunch to the new calendar window. So they don't have a lot of time to get this done. The other thing that they're trying to get done while this is all happening is who's going to be the replacement for Don Garber. Garber is in the last year of his contract as commissioner of MLS. We know he's not going to be in the running to continue the job. The two individuals that do seem to be leading the charge is current LAFC co-owner Larry Berg and former Fox executive David Nathanson. They're the individuals that are the finalists to take over as commissioner of MLS. We'll have to wait and see which one of those names ends up being on top.
Yeah, and it looks like MLS is trying to be for more flexible salary cap. You can pay big money, but for non-DP players, and getting rid of the whole GAM and TAM mechanism, which is confusing.
The other thing is if they want to make this kind of more streamlined, are they going to get rid of the roster designations where you have, senior level, the supplemental level, and all these different levels within the roster,
level.
and then the salary ranges that you're allowed within those certain levels. If you're wanting more fluidity within the roster, do you get rid of those internal mechanisms as well? I think that's something that should be looked at.
Article didn't mention it.
It didn't mention it either. Exactly, right? So there's a lot of things that I think are going to be at least discussed. We'll have to wait and see. I have a lot of questions about this. I feel like some of it's moving in the right way. Some of it maybe is not moving enough, but I hope that these things are at least being considered. The transfer fee one is the big one for me.
Yeah, obviously we'll get more as the months go on, but this is just a small piece of a pie. But I do like the flexible salary cap thing. But
I have a feeling that we're not going to hear a lot about this until we get into that weird half-season, whatever they're going to be doing between January and May of next year.
The sprint season, they're calling it.
Yeah, that's right, the sprint season. Thank you. I forgot the name for a second.
It's not really an official name, but you get the idea.
You're going to get a little mini MLS Cup if you win.
Yeah, kind of like that odd 2021 NHL COVID season.
Oh, right.
Except buildings will be full.
Yeah. And you won't be playing in Edmonton.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to Europe.
Sorry, my hometown.
Yeah. Let's move over to Europe. Chelsea won their first preseason game in Australia against Western Sydney Wanderers 6-4. Defending sucked, but these are mostly academy kids and Tosin. And Tosin still hasn't changed a bit. That Kazakhstani kid, Dustin Sepetyev, scored and was pretty popular about that. And Kazakhstani fans are flooding Chelsea. So did Dario Essigo, of all people, and Jamie Gittins coming off a long-term injury. And again, I don't understand why Carlo Ancelotti left this guy home for the World Cup. João Pedro off the bench, a hat-trick and an assist. Yes, it's preseason, but still impressive.
It's a head-scratcher.
Yeah. Someone else who did impress was 17-year-old Reggie Walsh, a midfielder. Great defensively, great with his progressive passing. One to watch for the future. And possibly teams are looking at him for a loan. Now, someone who didn't even play is injured. Romeo Lavia, again. That hamstring, again. This guy spent more time in the infirmary than on the pitch since he signed for Chelsea 3 years ago. And he has yet to play 90 minutes with Chelsea.
There you go.
Look at this. Since 2022, Britain has had four different prime ministers or something like that. And Romeo Lavia still hasn't played a full 90 minutes.
Wow.
Although,
Walsh, let's be fair, Britain swaps prime ministers like they do the seasons.
Yeah, that's true. And then they're having a new guy coming in, which nobody's ever heard of. Reggie Walsh was 13 when Romeo Lavia signed. He is now 17. Or he's 14 back then. And he has played a full 90 in preseason more than Lavia.
Wow.
So I don't know. Like I don't think anyone wants to buy this guy since he can't stay fit. But if he isn't gonna play, might as well cut ties. Send him out on loan. We'll pay the full.
If you do sign him, can you use the transfer fee as a charitable donation?
Yeah, if up to me, I'd send him out on loan. Club will pay his wages.
Yeah,
that's that. Because this guy cannot stay fit, and it's always that hand too. So Chelsea are making signings. It's only a matter of time before Maxime Lacroix gets announced. £52 million. He just signed his Chelsea contract today. Announcement is probably later today. Good deal for $52 million. One of the best CBs in the Premier League last season. Leader, pace, passing, physicality. Something Chelsea has been lacking for a long time. And I thought Lacroix would go for like 80, 90 million, but Chelsea get him for 52.
Center backs.
I guess his World Cup performances kind of, made things cheaper, but still.
Center backs always go for a little bit cheaper. I mean, look at what Spurs paid for Van Hecke, right?
Yeah, around the same price.
Roughly the same, yeah.
Lacroix was the only player in the Premier League last season to record 50 plus tackles, 200 plus duels won, and 250 plus clearances.
Wow. Good.
I mean, for 52 million,
take it.
Bargain.
Yeah.
Though he does get caught on transition a lot, like when he played against France in that third place game. But to be fair, the third place game. But this is a guy who could slot well alongside Levi Colwill.
Right.
And welcome to Chelsea. Welcome to the World Champions. Hope he does well. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but people are saying this could potentially be our Virgil van Dijk.
That's lofty.
I have that feeling.
Hey,
lofty.
You know what? It's a good if you're a center back, that's a great name to be aiming for.
And Van Dijk was about the same age when he signed for Liverpool. 26, 27.
Yeah, he's been there a long time.
Lacroix, he is the first Chelsea player since 2022 that they paid for that is 26 and above.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Tosin doesn't count because he was on a free.
Right.
Speaking of older players, Chelsea are finally signing players over 30. Xabi Alonso made Bedadik Bali change his whole approach. Because Xabi Alonso approved these guys, he wanted these guys. Chelsea killer in the past. Danny Welbeck is a here we go. The fee is unknown for now. Obviously, it was a mentor for Joao Pedro at Brighton. Would be a good guy off the bench. Good mentor for the forward core. And you know what? If you can't beat him, buy him. Yeah. So he can stop scoring against Chelsea. 35 years old, but he had more non-penalty goals than Victor Gyökeres last season.
There you go.
Which is a crazy stat. He had 13 Premier League goals last season.
For a 35-year-old, that's a good return.
I don't know. It feels like this guy seems to get better as he gets older.
You know what? This is one of the big missing links for Chelsea was experience. You need a couple of players in that locker room to kind of be the stewards of themselves, of the players, right? Not all of that can fall onto the coaches to, handle, players and, interpersonal relations like that. You need some experienced guys that have been there and done it and kind of lead the charge. Danny Welbeck's a good guy for that, amongst, others.
Yeah. He has 12. He had 12 non-penalty goals last season. Victor Gyökeres at 11.
Huh, there you go.
That is crazy. Obviously, Welbeck will be the backup to Joao Pedro, but if knowing Xabi Alonso, when they're trailing, I think he can play a two-striker system. And these two have complemented each other well at Brighton. And then another older guy, one that just came out of nowhere. Jordan Henderson, former Liverpool captain. 36 years old. Xabi Alonso apparently wanted a experienced leader in the midfield. He wanted Granit Xhaka, but that didn't work out. So Jordan Henderson. I was thinking, if they're going to bring an old midfielder, why not bring back N'Golo Kante? But Kante is not a vocal leader. Henderson is.
That's true. The other thing is Henderson was able to work with his current club, get his contract mutually terminated, so he's basically a free.
Yeah, and there are all the memes now of Jordan Henderson. Yeah. Like, he'll injure his other arm celebrating when Chelsea beat Fulham on opening day.
There's more than a few memes on Henderson.
Yeah. Or if Chelsea win the title, he'll injure himself celebrating jumping off Stamford Bridge. So, obviously Liverpool's fans are not happy with this since he's their former captain. Henderson's not going to play much anyway. No. He's just going to be that vocal leader in the locker room. And he's a good locker room guy. Always has been. You know what? Sure. Why not? Not going to play much anyway.
You kind of feel like he's more of a player coach.
That's just it. And given how immature, undisciplined this team was last season, guys like Welbeck and Henderson are needed. Same with
Didn't Chelsea have like one of the worst disciplinary records last season?
Yeah, most red cards by a long
shot. There you go. Okay. Which is saying something because my team had Romero.
Yeah. And Chelsea apparently are still linked to that guy for some reason.
It's sounding more and more like he's going to Italy.
Yeah, which I don't want him at Chelsea. So speaking of Spurs, the next preseason game for Chelsea is against Spurs.
That's right. That'll be on August 1st. They'll be playing that one still in Australia. Both our clubs are in Australia as it is right now, doing a bit of a preseason tour.
Yeah, then after that, Chelsea, I think they play one preseason game in Hong Kong, which players from the World Cup will be joining. Yeah, that game's going to be at 2:45 a.m. our time. Yeah. We'll just watch the highlights.
Pretty much.
Spurs played their another preseason game against Auckland.
Yeah, so they started their first preseason game we talked about last week, MK Dons. They did fly over with playing teams in the A-League. So they started off in New Zealand playing Auckland. 2-0 win. Stained Scarlet, Richarlison scoring in that match. And then just recently, Sydney FC, a 1-1 match. Spurs win on penalties. Mattis Tell scoring in that match. Mattis Tell seems to be a guy in the 3 preseason games so far. Really, really impressive. Now, one of the other things that was interesting with the Sydney FC game is Lucas Bergvall was given a start. And Zerbi has talked that he basically had a talk with Bergvall saying, look, we want you to stay. I will not guarantee that you will be a starter because the way modern squads are is everyone wants, the 24 odd players. I want 2022, but I want every single one of those guys to be starter caliber. So if you want to start, you better show up. You better earn it. I'm not guaranteeing you anything if you want to stay here. If you want to stay here, you better work for it. If you want to go somewhere where you believe you're entitled to be a starter, then go. So he basically threw that out to Bergvall to fight for it. Whether or not Bergvall is going to take that charge or if he still wants to orchestrate and move away, we'll have to wait and see. I believe it's Nottingham City that's been kind of trying to fight for his signature a little bit. Oh my gosh, what's the club? Where they just got Van Hecke from? Brighton. Brighton's been actually made a couple of formal bids, but nothing's happening there yet either. Interesting news on the Savino front. Savino has put in...
This guy's been linked to Tottenham for like a year.
Yeah. But he has now officially put in a transfer request. He is with Manchester City. He is trying to orchestrate. He has said publicly, I want to go to Spurs. So we'll have to wait and see how that happens. But it looks like we're finally getting not only Spurs fighting to sign him, the player is now fighting on the other side. So I have a feeling this is just a matter of time. It might drag on until like the mid of August.
It's been dragging for a year.
Yeah, but it does seem like it's going to be happening sooner rather than later. The
Both
other
sides
player
want each other, but no bid.
Yeah. Well, the Spurs did put in a bid last time.
But it was rejected, right?
It was rejected. They put in, I think it was £60 million. I think Man City at the time wanted closer to 80. There was no way it's happening.
No.
After a lackluster season last year, I think that 60 is going to be looking very good right now.
Oh, you get it for even less.
They had been looking at Bournemouth's LA Junior Krupi as another attacking option. But Krupi has just undergone surgery on his 5th metatarsal in his foot.
Yeah,
he looks like he's going to be out for 3 to 4 months. So that's been quashed. Spurs aren't looking for a player that they're not going to get until, Christmas. So right now, still waiting to see. Like I said, I want them to look for another winger. That seems to be Savino. I want them to look for another striker. But if Dane Scarlett ends up staying with the club, I'm kind of okay with him fighting for that spot as well, especially since Lancashire has, obviously gone away and signed with Middlesbrough, and some of the other younger players have kind of gone on to greener pastures as well. If Dane Scarlett can finally be that guy that's not going for yet another loan, I'm happy with that as well, because that was Harry Kane back in the day. Harry Kane had 7, 8 loans?
Yeah, a lot of loans.
Before he finally solidified that spot underneath Tim Sherwood. Remember that name.
Yeah.
I would be happy if that happens. Like you said, next up is going to be against Chelsea. And then they come back to Europe, where they will face Getafe in the Spanish league, I believe, and then Hoffenheim for a double. Kind of, I think one in Germany, one back in London, and then kind of go on from there.
Yep. Well, that's Chelsea and Spurs. As if FIFA and Gianni Infantino can't get more, continue to piss people off even more. Yeah. He announced an opening for FIFA tournaments to private sectors where he can make more money. Everybody hates this, especially UEFA and even the new British Prime Minister.
So here's the thing. Not everyone does hate this.
Oh, except Infantino.
The reason is because Infantino has guaranteed, if you vote for this, I'll give you $40 million. So a lot of smaller nations, especially where you look where Infantino has been trying to shore up support, Africa, Oceania, Asia, you only need 50% members to vote on this.
Yep.
With those in your pocket, you've got your 50%. So it's more than likely this will go through, which will lead to the creation of what they call FFE, I believe.
Something
It's basically it'll be a for-profit wing of a non-profit organization. This is a weird one because sport should not be owned by any one organization. It doesn't matter what the sport is. But this is now basically FIFA saying we can sell for-profit shares into a sport. I'm not too sure how they get around this. I don't know how it'll work, but you're getting a lot more support because UEFA does not like Infantino. They would vote Infantino out in a heartbeat if they could. They don't have the support. This is giving them more support from other areas, just not the areas they need to get the 50%. I have to wait and see if this actually goes through. You have to remember that a lot of this is going to end up getting tied into Infantino currently running for the FIFA presidency for the next term. That's happening throughout this year. Obviously, he announced his candidacy at the FIFA Congress that you and I were both at.
Yep.
Wait and see all over again.
Yeah, and he has given members a 53-day deadline, which is, I believe, September 19th, to back the plans to sell stakes or receive a 75% reduction in potential funding.
Yeah. So he's using money as his lever.
Game is so gone. Some national team news. Zinedine Zidane is officially named the French head coach. No surprise there.
That's been in the wings for years.
But in Italy, Andrea Pirlo was set to become the Italian head coach. But then he apparently got caught in he's been found to be caught in hot water in a collaboration with a Russian betting brand. So that's not happening. Roberto Mancini is in for his second stint as Italy coach.
So Italy is not going to make the World Cup.
Yeah, they're not making the 64-team World Cup.
I don't know what Italy is
what a
doing.
mess.
Don't get me wrong. I get the optics behind not going after Pirlo, but you needed someone that's not the old guard.
Yeah. I mean, Pirlo,
they did try. Now they did try to bring in Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola, in the end, turned down the deal with Italy. He turned it down. There's now talks about whether or not England tries to make a stab at him, but I think England's going to stay with Tuchel. I'm sorry, I don't know why England is looking elsewhere. You just had your best finish since you won the World Cup back in what, the 50s, 60s?
66. Yeah. They're keeping Tuchel until the end of the Euros.
They should. There was one bad game, but other than that, they did what they did.
But for Italy,
I don't know what Italy's doing. But
Maldini and Leonardo have resigned as their technical director and advisor roles.
Yeah.
So what a mess this federation is.
Yeah. With no end.
Claudio Ranieri is the new technical director.
Yeah, and Ranieri was talking about he had some comments about wanting to revitalize it and have his grandchildren be able to see Italy rise again and yada yada. Very affirmational, but not a lot in substance.
Yeah,
who knows? Maybe he'll have them get a pizza party. Apparently, that worked with Leicester, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Forget the football. The optics off the pitch for Italy.
at this point, I don't know, the Italian Federation, I don't know, you just throw kerosene on it, light a match, and start over.
Yeah, just light it on fire. The whole thing needs to be burned to the ground. And due to this Pirlo thing and Yan Diomande be reportedly signing for Real Madrid, Fabrizio Romano and Florian Plettenberg been beefing on Twitter about, who's right, who gets it first, and all that.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Fabrizio Romano really, you could argue that he jumped the gun, but things change, obviously, even after Here We Go.
Yeah. I'm interested in the actual signing. I don't care about the people who talk about the signing. I mean, we're two of those to a very, very much lesser extent, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, I prefer David Ornstein just dropping bombs out of nowhere. And one last thing here.
Yeah.
The English FA has agreed to the trial to end keeper tactical timeouts.
Okay. Yeah, so this is kind of what we saw in the World Cup. So what they're going to do in England is if physio comes on to treat a goalkeeper, that person will have, or the coach will have 10 seconds to nominate another outfield player to leave the pitch for 1 minute. Essentially, it's kind of like when you have the physio come on for any other player, that player has to leave the pitch for a minute. This is not going to happen with goalkeepers, but they have to nominate a player to be the one that comes off. If that coach does not nominate a player within 10 minutes, the captain comes off, and the referee will basically dictate that right away. The whole idea is to end tactical timeouts where the goalkeeper goes down. Oh, I'm injured. Let's give everyone a breather.
Yeah, whoa, me.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's kind of like what happened with the World Cup, but a little bit different in that an outfield player will be the one coming off. It'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah. We'll see.
Now, there is a different variation that is going to be trialed with the Australian A-League, where it'll always be the captain that has to come out rather than a coach choosing a player. So they're trying different variations.
Yeah. We'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll conclude this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. I'm on Twitter, Joshua00. Nathan is at Derek. Podcast at Terminal City FC. On Blue Sky, Instagram as well. Click our names on Blue Sky. Just search our names. Should be there. Check out our YouTube channel as well. You can watch the full episode on YouTube, which, if you are, hello. And hello to everyone listening to wherever you get your podcast. Still trying to figure out how the live streams are going to work, but keep in mind, probably going to be just recording for the next few weeks.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Check out all the other podcasts for Sparks Podcast Network and the Hockey Podcast Network, and all our writing for Air 51 Sports Network as well. That concludes this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.